I know you gonna dig this.
Get funky with me.
Oh, life, it's bigger. And that's a big White House, but it's not the actual White House. Do, 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 do. Those flowers are pink. What's going on, everybody? How you doing today? I'm excited. I'm bursting. When I get excited, I get excited. I'm always excited when I'm filming a video, but this is really special to me. I'm in Athens, Georgia. I'm gonna sit down and talk. Stop it, motorcycle. I'm gonna sit down and talk with Bertis Downs. Who's Bertis Downs? What? You don't know? Bertis Downs was the manager of R.E.M., one of my favorite bands of all time. Bertis Downs was the 5th member of R.E.M. And his office is right here. And I'm going in, and I'm gonna talk with Bertis. And you're coming with me. You're gonna be right beside me. If you're an R.E.M. fan, get ready. This is gonna be awesome. I'm a huge fan. Literally, I'm like, my heart, I can feel it pumping really fast. So excited. Let's go in. Hi, Bertis.
Hello, Scott on tape.
All right, so here I am with Bertis Downs, the 5th member of R.E.M. Now, a lot of rock bands, the manager is considered, like with U2, Paul McGuinness would be the 5th member. The Beatles, George Martin, the 5th member. Bertis Downs would be considered the 5th member of R.E.M. And I'm gonna sit down and have a quick talk with him about his life with R.E.M. So Bertis, I'm going through an odyssey here in Athens.
How appropriate.
Because R.E.M. is my favorite band of all time. Now, I say a lot about bands on and musicians on my channel, George Michael, Nirvana, Eminem, but R.E.M. holds a special place in my heart.
Mine too.
I bet.
Yep.
So how did you come to, I know the story's been told, but I want to know how you met them and how you came to be their advisor, manager, and the 5th member.
Well, it was a gradual process. I was in law school here. They were in college here. I'd been in college up in North Carolina. I'd come down here for law school in 1978, just over 40 years ago now. And I used to shop at a record store called Wuxtree, where Peter was a sales clerk, record store guy. And he was kind of a Neil Young expert. He was an expert on a lot of things, but he certainly knew a lot about Neil Young. And those were back in the days when you had to, if you wanted to hear music, you gave somebody money and they gave you back this piece of plastic that you played the music on. So I was having to decide, between Time Fades Away or Tonight's the Night or a live show somewhere. And Peter was just really good at, he knew what I liked, and he knew the kind of, this was at a really interesting point in Neil's career. And so Peter was kind of like my mentor on Neil Young stuff. I got to know Bill Berry. All this is before they ever started the band. Bill was on the concert division at the University Union, and I'd done that in college at Davidson, and then I was also on the concert division at the university here. And Bill Berry and I became buds. We did, a little later, we did Neil Young in the Coliseum here, but when Bill was on it, we did, I think, Pablo Cruz and the Village People. Those were the big concerts that were brought here in sort of 78, 79. So I got to know Bill and Peter, and then a year later, 2 years later, they started a band. I started going to their shows. I was sort of an early fan. And meanwhile, I was finishing up law school. I was getting ready to get a job. I ended up teaching at the law school here because of some timing issues. So I ended up teaching research and writing, kind of a first job to have right out of school. And gradually over time, I started helping them out and doing some of the early contracts and learning as I went. We kind of grew up together, and it turned into a career.
Right.
All those years.
And at what point did you realize, did it dawn on you that this band has it, that this band is going to take off?
Well, those were two different questions, really. I realized they had it the first time I saw them. I mean, they wrote so many good songs. They were doing about half covers and about half originals, and I didn't know. I was with an older friend, little older friend, Russell Carter, who kind of has encyclopedic history of rock and roll in his head, and so all the songs sounded pretty good, and he is like, oh yeah, that's a song by the Trogs, that's a song by the Monkees, or he was identifying the covers, but the songs that he wasn't sure of. This is the very first time we saw him at the Coffee Club, now that church on Clayton Street. It was pretty clear they could write songs. They were really good songwriters, and they had a really good performance, and this is without a stage. This is with 75 people there in the middle of the night with no stage. So I kind of knew they had it at that point, but I didn't know what that meant. I just knew they wrote good songs. And then it was over the next couple of years that I just kind of thought they're really good songwriters. If other bands that I like can make it, bands in their late 20s at that point, early 30s, were making careers of it. We're touring, had employees. I certainly thought that these guys could. So it was a gradual process, but all the way through the early 80s, mid 80s, it seemed like something that could very much happen. And then things went well for them. They got some breaks, and they kept writing bunches and bunches of good songs. So it kept happening.
Right. So would you say Green or Out of Time is what really catapulted them into the stratosphere?
They never catapulted into the stratosphere in a way. I mean, I guess the stratosphere would have been
Losing My Religion?
Yeah, I guess Losing My Religion. That really was 11 years into their career, 7th album. To a lot of people, they thought it was their first album, or they thought Green was their first album. But they had that whole catalog of 5 records on I.R.S, 83 through 87. Every year they made a record. It was a 5-record deal. And so, Out of Time, when Losing My Religion became kind of the song of the summer. It wasn't the song of the summer everywhere at the same time, but kind of gradually, from March when it was released all the way through that year, Losing My Religion became a really big song. It was just one of those songs. To this day, it's one of those songs that's very distinctive. Nothing else sounds like it on the radio.
Ever.
You kind of never get sick of hearing it. They never got sick of playing it, thank goodness. And I guess Losing My Religion was that point. But I also felt like there were other moments where it felt like, Fall on Me and The One I Love felt like real milestones.
Right.
When they first wrote them, when they went out and played them live. So their whole key to the way they got big was that they were gradual. They never were in a hurry, and the way it worked out, it was just kind of a stair-step. It was an approach that people probably wouldn't be able to take as easily now.
Right. So how much, and I think I may know the answer to this, how much creative input did you have with the band?
0.
That's what
And that was the way everybody liked it. And I remember one time they were opening for the band Rat. That was spelled R-A-T-T.
They were opening for Rat?
Yeah, at a festival in Calistoga, California. Calaveras, I get them mixed up. But they were at a big county festival fair thing. I think our stage time was 11 in the morning. Rats was 12. And then Huey Lewis and the News were the headliners. This is the kind of stuff you did in the 80s.
Yeah.
Before. And I made some kind of comment on the bus that had something to do with creativity. And it was not well received. And I look, it was their band. I always knew it was their band. They were the creative guys. If they asked me, I certainly gave them my opinion, and I was usually wrong. If they had a way they wanted to do it. In a lot of ways, they were self-managed, and I was able to help them turn what they wanted to do into something that would work.
Did they play you demos for the album first, for albums, and say, what do you think?
No,
they would just...
I would learn. I would definitely hear them. I was around, depending on the album. There wasn't any particular process to it, but depending on where they were recording, who the producer was, I certainly got to hear the songs before the record came out.
Of course.
But I didn't try to have much input. I didn't need to have input. They had producers for that. They had their own ears for that. They didn't need more people with opinions about that.
Right.
But then other things like, when they go on tour, how long are they going to tour, what are the ticket prices going to be, who are the opening acts going to be. My main role was really to facilitate them talking about that stuff and coming to a consensus, and that's the way they work. They really didn't take votes. They really kind of waited till they all agreed on something.
Really?
And they'd just keep talking about it till they all agreed on something. That was always kind of the way they did it.
So is there any song that they did get sick of playing live?
Oh yeah, plenty. The songs they quit playing live. There are so many songs from those early days. I'll tell you a good place you can hear a bunch of those is that record, the kind of great lost, underappreciated R.E.M. Live at the Olympia that was made in Dublin. And that ended up being on vinyl thanks to Jack Knife Lee. He realized this is not just a live record, this is like a record. And we'd recorded it all 24-track because they were preparing to go make Accelerate. And so that I think the guys, but Peter certainly, who had a lot to do with set lists over the years, they decided that all these people had come from around the world to go and get, we were able to figure out a way to not have the scalpers get all the tickets. 1,600-seater in Dublin, 5 nights in a row. People are going to come multiple nights. And it was like, if they're coming and they're willing to come and see us play our new stuff, which people, even though they were good songs, most people, if they hear songs for the first time, they're not that blown away. They want to hear their favorites.
Yeah.
They decided not to play Man on the Moon, not to play Losing My Religion. They played West of the Fields. They played 4 out of the 5 songs on Chronicles, stuff they had not played in many, many years. And so that's a good place to hear some of the ones that I guess they'd gotten sick of playing. But hearing Wolves again, hearing Gardening at Night, those were not songs they played that much once, they were going 20, 30 years later.
Once I got into R.E.M., I don't remember. I guess I've seen R.E.M. live in my life, probably a total of 8 or 9 times.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever heard Driver 8 or Don't Go Back to Rockville talk about the passion.
They did play some of those
sometimes.
sometimes, but not very often.
But always Man on the Moon.
Where did you first see them?
The first time I saw R.E.M. would have been, I don't think it was Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto.
Molson
No,
Center?
I saw Molson Amphitheater. I saw them there like twice, at least. Saw them on there on the
What about
up
the
tour.
outdoor show we did in 2001?
I was going to get to that.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I wanted to get to, because one of my best friends, two of my best friends wanted me to ask you about that. Now, for my viewers that don't know, people that don't know, R.E.M. did a free show in Toronto at Yonge and Dundas Square, and I was there, and it was incredible.
I think it was
rained.
01. I'm pretty sure it was 01.
01,
It was the Reveal promo tour.
yes, it was for
we
Reveal.
Didn't do a tour that year.
They opened with the lifting, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so how did that come about?
You know, when you're doing promo tours, you try to find interesting things to do that creates interest and awareness.
Why Toronto?
Because why not Toronto? It's Toronto. It's the most. We certainly love Vancouver. Nothing against Montreal. Never been to a lot of Canada, although we played Thunder Bay. Toronto is like to me it's the commercial center. If you're only it's where Much Music was.
Yeah.
It's where MTV Canada was.
Yeah.
And I don't remember the exact setup for that, but generally when you were doing promo tours like that, you try to get creative on what you could do that'll get some impact and it'll get awareness. And that I think it was a noontime concert. I remember that being like middle of the day.
Yeah, totally. It was
so there's no
new.
lighting or anything, and you know it takes a certain amount of effort to do that. There's a lot of planning, and there must have been a media partner involved, probably Much Music or MTV Canada or an internet company or
Well,
something.
it did air. It aired on Much Music, so I'm
It was
assuming
the
Much.
same time we did the Cologne concert in Cologne, which went out around all of the world on MTV and ended up being on our MTV box set. So we did a lot of things like that during promo tours. Just like I say, to stir up interest and to make sure people were aware of it. And plus, it's fun. It's fun to play a town center or like the thing we did in the Olympic Stadium in Athens, the 100-year-old Olympic Stadium. Those kind of things, they're memorable. You know, you remember them later in your life.
Well, I'll never forget that show.
That's
so
neat.
yeah, I'll never forget that. So I saw
And
them.
we played somewhere with Modest Mouse in the National in 08. I can't remember where that was. That was an outdoor amphitheater.
That was Molson
Probably
Amphitheater as
Molson,
well.
yeah.
I was there for that. That was the Accelerate tour.
Yeah.
That was.
So you mainly saw them in Canada.
I think the only place I've ever seen them is Canada. Now I've seen other artists in the States like Eminem and U2. I've traveled around to, but R.E.M.
Yep.
Now I'm trying to remember Maple Leaf Gardens. Air Canada Center.
Yeah.
At least twice. And then the free show. Then Molson Amphitheater I think played.
So your first tour would have been Monster in '95.
Yes, it was Monster. It was Monster. That's when
And that would have been Maple Leaf Gardens.
Yeah, that's wow. Just even remembering that was a long time ago. Because I'm trying to remember if I saw them before that. I don't think I did.
'89 was the last tour before that. So I don't know when you would have been '89, but
No, I don't think I saw them in '89.
'89 was the Green Tour.
Right. Oh no, I did not see that
And
Green
then
tour.
they didn't tour for Automatic or Out of Time.
Because as a huge R.E.M. fan, I find it. People say, how can you be a huge R.E.M. fan if you just got into them from Green? Well, it doesn't matter when you get into a band, you can still go back.
Music.
Yeah, you still go back and
I know
listen
people
to.
who got into them for Accelerate.
Yeah. After Bill Berry had his illness, and was there a serious talk about the band breaking up at that point?
Well, I mean, it was pretty well covered. I mean, they all talked about it. Bill, it was really, you know, he had the brain surgery during the '95 tour.
Yeah.
It's been well documented. It's in that MTV documentary extensively. And, you know, we went back on tour. And just when it was time to get the cycle going again 2 years later, you know, after a big long tour like the '95 tour, and then New Adventures coming out the following year, and then nothing really going again until '98. Bill had just kind of reassessed everything, and I think that's a fairly typical thing that when people go through something that serious. And it was a pretty scary time for him personally and for everybody. So was there serious talk about the band breaking up? I think the things that they've talked about in the press, I'm just trying to think what I've read, is that they didn't really think about breaking up because they already had a bunch of songs written. And maybe they would have if they hadn't, but since they had so many songs written for Up, they kind of just decided they were, you know, to a certain extent, I'm sure they were all kind of a little bit in shock because it certainly shook them up, you know, and it shook all of us up. Shook the organization, the band. I mean, it's a chemistry of these 4 people. That's the magic thing. And now it's 3. I mean, Michael, as he often does, said it really well. He said, "Well, you know, there are 3-legged dogs, and I guess we see if the 3-legged dog can run, you know, and generally 3-legged dogs do fine." So there was something lost, but also, you know, those 3 guys had a pretty strong bond, and We worked with Joey, we worked with Barrett, we worked with Bill Rieflin, and there was never another Bill Berry, and there was never anybody who tried to be another Bill Berry.
Right.
There were drummers who toured with R.E.M. As part of the touring band, but that's kind of the way it worked for the next. Bill left in '97, and they kept going till 2012. So I guess the last 15 years.
Yeah.
That's the way it went.
Well, I mean, Up has three of my favorite songs, which is Falls to Climb, Parakeet, and Day Sleeper. So
I would agree with one of those to me. Day Sleeper. I think it's right up there.
I think Falls to Climb is just an incredible song.
I think Diminished is a great song.
Yeah. Sad Professor.
Disappear is a great song.
Yeah. A Walk Unafraid.
Yeah.
Why Not
and
Smile?
Well, Walk Unafraid's a better. I think that ended up being one of those songs. There's a relation between Walk Unafraid and Accelerate. Walk Unafraid's one of those songs that they realized once they got out and started playing it, how much of a rocker it was.
Yeah, they changed it up completely.
Yeah, it became a much more of a play it in the encore, play it at the end of the set.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that kind of song on the record. And so I think that informed their decision years later to go and do those Accelerate shows in the Olympia Theater to kind of feel them live and everything before they went in and committed them to tape and making the record they made. So things like Horse to Water and Living Well's The Best Revenge.
Yeah. I'm gonna DJ.
Yeah. So anyway, what else you got?
Okay. So the other thing was they had Up, then Reveal, and Around the Sun.
Yep.
And I remember when I first listened to Around the Sun, I got so upset and depressed as an R.E.M. fan. I thought this album, I was not into it. And then on repeat listens, it's now in my top 5 R.E.M. albums.
It's got a lot of good songs.
It's a grower.
It had a really good single with Leaving New York.
A beautiful song.
Yeah.
Beautiful song. And Aftermath.
And I liked Wanderlust.
Wanderlust and
That's a
Aftermath
neat
are
song.
just incredible, I think.
Yeah.
And then they close out their career with 2 really strong commercially received albums and critically received albums, right?
Yep.
Accelerate, Collapse Into Now.
And those were thanks to those 3 guys and somebody named Jack Knife Lee,
Yeah.
our producer, who he pulled those records out of them. He got the best out of all those guys and got the best out of the unit, and they left on a really strong note with both those records, with Accelerate and Collapse Into Now. I mean, those are, as they turned out to be the bookends of their career, those are really strong records and have some of the best songs. I mean, some of those songs didn't get played on the radio, didn't get passed around as much as earlier in their career, but you take Horse to Water and Until the Day Is Done and Walk It Back, and what's the other one?
Well,
All the Best.
Yeah.
Those are like classic R.E.M. rock songs.
Well, Collapse Into Now has my favorite R.E.M.
Which
song. It Happened Today.
Oh yeah,
I think that is a beautiful.
And have you seen the video for that?
Of
Jim
course.
McKay.
It's
Jim McKay right there. He made videos for R.E.M. in the early '80s until the last record.
So he directed that video, the long video with the snow and all that.
That was Jim McKay. Wait a minute, was that Tom Gilroy? No, It Happened Today was Jim McKay.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song. I think it's like that's a perfect. Other than
I better be right on that.
because I love We All Go Back Where We Belong.
It's up in the snow in upstate New York.
Just a gorgeous way.
And then We All Go Back to Where We Belong, which is the greatest hits thing with the 2 different versions of the video.
Now, how did they come up with those 2 songs? There's 2 songs on the greatest hits.
Well, when you put a greatest hits out,
You
there's
always
an
got
obligation of a couple
exactly.
songs. I think
But did they
came up
have
with
those
3.
lying around those songs?
No, those were written.
For the
I think there were 3. Didn't we end up doing 3? A month of
Saturdays, We All Go Back to Where We Belong.
and Hallelujah.
Hallelujah, of course.
That's a really good song too.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
again, those were those late in their career. It wasn't as nearly as there wasn't as much anticipation and excitement then before they'd broken up. So those are good songs. I love We All Go Back to Where We Belong.
I think
that's
it's
just
one of
that's a tearjerker.
It's in my top 5 R.E.M. songs. It's funny because the last 2 albums, like the greatest hits and Collapse Now, contain 2 of my favorite R.E.M. songs.
Right.
So now, off the top of my head, I'm gonna ask Bertis some questions. Oh, we're gonna get there's Michael. There's Michael.
They're out there at the Capitol. Sure.
There's Michael and Peter in the background. So I'm gonna ask him some quick questions about R.E.M. that I've always wanted to know. Maybe you want to know as a fan. First of all, even just looking at that picture, does Peter Buck, does he ever smile?
Yes.
I don't think I've ever seen him smile in a picture.
You've missed it.
I've missed it. Okay.
He does.
What did you think when Michael Stipe shaved his head?
He looked like he'd lost his hair.
It was a very distinct look, though.
It was a distinct look.
Do you recognize this shirt that I'm wearing?
I like it. I guess I'm now realizing that's one of the shirts that Michael wore somewhere?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you recognize the shirt I'm wearing?
That's what I want to ask you about. Your company now. What are you doing now?
No, the shirt I'm wearing is it's based on the Warriors, the Golden State Warriors, and it's the NBA. It's based on the NBA's Black History Month celebration a year and a half ago. They wore this. They wore a version of this shirt over their warm-ups, but I made it apply to schools. It has a list of the teachers. It has good schools for each kid. It's more of a school-oriented thing rather than just in general civil rights kind of stuff.
Okay, favorite R.E.M. song?
You know, if I had to pick one, I would say Gardening at Night, just because
Really?
I have to pick one. But if I had to pick, 10, it'd be a lot easier question. But Gardening at Night, I guess, is officially my favorite R.E.M. song. I don't know why.
Okay, we don't have time for you to pick 10. I wish we did, because I'd like to hear your 10. Mine are Electrolyte, Circus Envy, What's the Frequency, Kenneth. We all go back to where we belong, and it happened today.
That's only 5.
Losing My Religion.
Okay.
And Supernatural, Super Serious.
Yeah, that's a great song.
I can't stop. I'll keep going. Okay. Best live show you ever saw R.E.M. perform?
It's kind of impossible. I mean, I won't answer that question except to say best moment that R.E.M. was on stage as a fan of them and a couple of other rock icons would have been the night that in Minneapolis, they were already playing with Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band. That was like their 4th night of playing that Vote for Change tour. And that's the night that Neil Young came. And that's the night that during the encore, Neil joined R.E.M., Bruce, the E Street Band, and they played All Along the Watchtower and Rockin' in the Free World.
That's
So
amazing.
you can't really beat that. But it wasn't an R.E.M. show. It was a Vote for Change show. But it's not surprising that the highlights you generally remember are those kind of charity things that involved other people and things larger than
you
just your own
remember that,
career.
yeah.
You remember that, and because they're so special and they're so one of a kind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, Michael Stipe. First, 2-part question quickly about Michael Stipe. Is he as Michael Stipe as everybody thinks he is? What's he like?
No, I got no answer. He's Michael.
He's one of your close
Michael.
friends, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Known him forever. Known him since he was 19.
Solo album by Michael
I
Stipe, is
wasn't
it
much older.
happening?
Don't know.
You don't?
Do not know.
Do not know.
No, I'm answering honestly.
No, okay, I believe you.
But I know he's been recording some. I mean,
Okay.
he's been talking about being recording.
Yeah,
some.
I just
don't know what he's planning
been
to do
hearing
with
about it.
I don't know what he's planning to do with it. Whatever he plans to do with it, my guess is it'll be really good and it'll be really different.
Well, the song you just put
Andy
out with Rain
Wiggins.
Phoenix is beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful song.
Yeah. Yep.
If you're considered the 5th member, would Bill Berry's eyebrows be considered the 6th and 7th member of
No,
R.E.M.?
Bill Berry's the 4th member.
No, his eyebrows.
No.
I'm just
We,
kidding.
we
They're
don't
very distinct.
we don't anthropomorphize body parts like that. At least I don't.
I don't either. I just like his eyebrows. They're very distinct. Now, the last question I'm going to ask you about R.E.M. is one I'm sure you get every day, but I'm going to ask it, even though I know the answer. I know the answer, but I have to ask it, and I know you know what it's going to be.
I'm not going to be surprised either way. That's my answer.
Is there any chance?
I just said I'm not going to be surprised either way. I'm not going to be surprised if they don't get back together, and I don't think they are because they're not talking about it. And I'm not going to be surprised if they do get back together because they're all healthy, smart, music-making guys. So I guess I should say I'm going to be totally surprised. I'm not going to be surprised either way. That's my honest answer.
Okay, well, that's an amazing answer because you just got my heart beating a little bit
Faster. It's
than...
not meant to be false hope.
No,
because
I
don't think
know,
it's
I know,
happening, but
I know,
if it does,
I know.
It would totally shock me.
Yeah, but the fact that you're saying that you wouldn't be shocked either way.
Yeah, but I don't know because
don't know.
I don't think anybody knows, including. So.
Well, I hope they do, but I either they
That's enough.
they leave a legacy behind, and that's
Yeah,
great.
I mean, they have this incredible body of work.
Yeah.
And I don't, they did really good work, and they made a lot of good records, and we all still get to enjoy that, and that's enough,
Yeah, it is.
That's
We
a
need
really
them
good
now.
thing.
We do need them now more than ever.
Well, they're
But-
still around,
No, we need new stuff, but it's okay. Thanks, Bertis. I appreciate
Take care,
it.
Scott. Thanks a
That
lot.
was awesome.
It was great. Thank you.
What'd you think of that? Bertis Downs, a manager of R.E.M. What? Yeah, I'm so excited still. It's over. I'm still, like I get really excited very easily, okay? Bertis, thank you for being so warm, so welcoming, so generous with your time, so sweet, so informative. That was amazing. I loved every minute of it. Through YouTube, I've gotten to do some really amazing things. This is up there on my list now. It's probably #1 of my favorite things I've ever done. Is going to hang out with someone who is so connected with one of my favorite bands of all time, R.E.M. Yes, that was awesome. I'm not a journalist, I'm a fan. Why did I put that in? Well, is it because people are going to say, well, you forgot this question, this question, this question. You try doing it when you're so excited beating Bertis Downs from R.E.M. It's hard. So many other questions I forgot to ask. Oh, well, I can. All right. Thank you, Bertis. That was amazing. I love all of you. Thanks for watching. Peace out. R.E.M. forever.